Thank you, Mr. Ntloko. Good morning, everyone, members of the media. You are welcome to SAFA House, and we'd like to thank you for availing your time, as always, to come whenever we call you, and we've got an important announcement to make. So this morning, as Mr. Ntloko indicated, I'm here with my VP, Mr. Zwane, and the technical department being the TD, Mr. Steenbok, and our technical committee chair, Mr. Jack Maluleka. As you can see, we are talking technical matters. We've got a very important announcement to make around our technical department, a very important department at the association, because we are, in the business of football development, not only developing the players, not developing the referees only, or the administrators, but also the coaches as well. An important task for all of us. So this is basically the lifeblood of the association as far as the running of football is concerned. So you are welcome to this important announcement, and I will, without being a party pooper, I will hand over to the Vice President, Mr. Zwane, to tell us why exactly we are here this morning, and what is this important announcement about.
Okay, thank you very much, CEO, and greetings to the Technical Committee Chair, Mr. Jack Maluleke, the TD, and in our midst we also have Banyana coach, Desrelis. We are happy that you are here, despite the challenges you have. We are very, very happy. And members of the media, welcome. We are gathered here today to announce two important components of the game, particularly in the technical department of the association. At the center of our vision, there are two areas that we are strong at and we want to push. Is the youth football and women's football. So clearly, our goals is to make sure that we do well in the youth football, and we also do well in the women's football. We are just from the World Cup, all has been said, but going forward we have to action what we have set ourselves, and making sure that come the next World Cup we are ready as the association and the country. We should be able to constantly make sure that we educate or we upskill our coaches. So critical to the announcement that we are going to do today, it's around coaches, it's around the new programs that we are introducing as the association. And we have, I think, for a number of years, we have trained a number of coaches. We have trained at the different levels, and one of the things that the TD had to deal with was around the issue of club licensing, particularly on coaches. And we are here to also announce what are the developments in that space. And in the past, we have indicated that we are gearing ourselves up to make sure that we provide certain levels of the licenses that were not provided in the country. So the TD will deal with that. And we want to appreciate the regions that are doing well on coaches education. SAFA Ekurhuleni remains a center of education for our coaches. We know that SAFA Mkamala in the Western Cape and West Rand, there are a number of coaching courses that are taking place, and other regions in the country. We want to appreciate them, and in making sure that they avail that opportunity for our coaches. And we are moving. Remember, we are just from a World Cup. We have to make sure that we plan for the future, and the future of South African football remains the HPC program for the girls, and we are moving swiftly in terms of that we have to upgrade in terms of the numbers, or increase the numbers there, from what we have to a full 25 players. Scouting is continuing. Trials have been happening in the various provinces in making sure that the HPC becomes a success in terms of the recruitment and trying to mainstream the girls in the Banyana pipeline, because we are planning ahead. And of course we have the new kid on the block, which is the under 15 national team. We have had our under 15 interprovincial games, and selections were made there, and those boys have to come into an academy of the association starting from next year, and making sure that we build from that level. And we want to indicate that today's announcement, the first part, it will be a culmination of what the president of the association, Dr. Jordan, had said or pronounced in the funeral of the late coach Clive. We'll give you the details, I think, after myself, when the TD deals with that. So I'm giving you a glimpse of what has to follow after me, that we derive some of the issues we are dealing with today that came out of what we said in that funeral. And we wish to welcome everyone here, and I hope that South Africa will then see what SAFA is supposed to be, talking about football, because that is what the association is all about. Thank you.
Right. Over to you, Chair.
Thanks very much, Head of Communication. Let me first observe the protocol. The Vice President of SAFA, Mr. Lindazwane, and the CEO, the TD, members of the media, the coach, and guests, good morning. I'm happy today. I'm here just to announce, not like previously when I'm here because we have to appoint a coach. And I know that the media will await for me to grill me on questions. But today my task is very simple. Firstly, on the purpose of the day that was outlined by the VP, we are glad to announce that we are launching the Clive Academy. And when we talk about Clive, all of us, we go back at class 96. He was the coach of Bafana that won that AFCON. But also, equally so, I'm happy because now the women has come up with a new history. So we'll always talk about Banyana. The performance on AFCON, the champions of AFCON, and also the performance in the World Cup. So this one, I will then give the TD to give us a detailed explanation or plan on this academy, which I know I received a lot of calls when people were asking about the School of Excellence and so forth. But today you will have the understanding what is this entail in the launching of the Clive Barker Academy. TD, can you take us through?
Thanks, Chairperson of the Technical Committee, the CEO, Media Unyapa, and Lindazwane. Also, greetings to Coach Des for your wonderful job welcome back. I know there's been a lot difficult. I hope you are taking it easy because the journey continues. Also to the members of the media, thanks for coming through today. But I don't know, the chairperson didn't really want to talk about the other major announcement, but it will come in the presentation that I'm going to make for the members of the media. But just to say, today it's about SAFA education. That's an area that we are going to deal a lot with. Firstly, South Africa is back within the CAF convention. You remember that since 2017, we have not been able to have CAF B and CAF A license courses. On Sunday, CAF sent a message to bring us back into the convention. So part of the presentation will be also to do that. We have already from our side set up dates already to host our first CAF A license in 2023. The first module will be on the 13th to the 23rd of November. So that is the first part that we will deal with. And I will explain a little bit in terms of that. Moving forward, we are also breaking SAFA education into two components, meaning coach education becomes the traditional process that we are taking. So we're covering CAF coaching licenses from D, C, B, and A. Within the convention now, we are allowed to hold a CAF A license, but also that will also help us to have a B license. So the B license is under construction. So as part of the innovation, we are then moving to say it's important that we break the education part into two components. One component, like I said, would be traditional courses, and then the other one would be the SAFA Clive Academy. So Clive Academy will deal with all specialized courses that you can really think of. You know, courses that will deal with the technical director course, courses that will deal with career transition programs for ex-players, courses that will also deal with coaching courses for active players. It will also be part of that. Performance analysis, data analysis, and also courses that will also deal with match analysis for TV pundits. You know, we see a lot of our ex-players also on TV, and they need training, you know, so the Academy will really cover a whole lot of that. I think I need to stand up so that I can be able to see the screen and make this presentation. So like I said, in the technical menu that I presented there, so we have already spoken about the segmentation of SAFA education into two components, which will be the coach education and of course the Clive Academy. I also move a little bit into the CAF convention because I think as journalists and also as a community, we need to understand a little bit of Article 1, Article 2, and Article 21 of the CAF convention. So I've brought it here a little bit for us to be able to do that. Well, I also put up a summary and the courses that we really want to offer there, the application process and the partnership that we'll have. We can move. So this is the direction that we're taking. Essentially, we are launching the SAFA Clive Academy, but again, taking coaching education into another level. The CAF convention has allowed us now to have a CAF A license. Nextly, we'll do the CAF B license. And then we'll also go back again to revise also the D license and the C license that we have. In terms of the convention, and I think it was very important for us to be able to look at this, that the convention talks about the importance of member association raising the coaching standards. So really that's what we're looking for. Also, a factor which has been very important from our side has been the club licensing. Club licensing in terms of trying to regulate, not only in the PSL, but also trying to regulate across all board, you know. So that is one of the functions that is really given to us by the convention. I also wanted to raise this because I was listening even yesterday on the radio. Some of the pundits there who couldn't really answer. A D diploma, where does it lie? You know, when I was making a call earlier this year, and I was saying that we cannot allow coaches a D and C license to be in the PSL, and I thought the media didn't really understand why this is an important factor. But if you check according to the convention, when you have a D license, you're supposed to be dealing with kids between 6 and 12. And some of these coaches are already in the PSL. So it was not a mad run or a fight to anybody else. And of course, when you are at C, you are between 12 and 15 years. You know, so that's why the convention is important, that we need to come back there. But again, try to educate everybody else that in order for you to come to the right level and the standards that we need to maintain, this is very important. Next one, chat. But critically, also to outline this, because I think this has been also a challenge. I was listening to that show yesterday, and there was no clarity there. So if you are a D license coach, it means you only have 60 hours there, and it's stipulated there. At CAF C license, you are at 120, B license, you are at 160, and A license, you are 240. That's why, as the association, we want to bring our coaches to the B level and also to the A level. It's because of the number of hours. You know, if you are having a D license and you're coaching it in the professional ranks, you have not had enough. I would have called it game time. If you're a soccer player, I was going to use a game time. That you don't have game time, but also as a coach, it means you don't have enough mileage practical, and also mileage in class. So that's why I've also put up there so that we can really be aware and clear why the convention is important and where we are moving. Yes, Chair? Let's move on. Next. So then the academy, the idea of the academy is to begin to deliver this kind of courses. And of course, these are not the only courses which will come from the academy. There will be lots of courses also that are going to be proposed by member associations, by individuals. But then you need to come back to us so that we can then be able to assess it, what you have, and be able to deliver this. It's important, for example, if you check a course that will deal with active players. You know, we've seen with the Belgium FA there that players like Lukaku and Kevin De Bruyne were managed to do their UEFA B license whilst they're still playing. So these are some of the courses that we really want to bring in there. But again, we're not restricting even you as the media to be able to design a course, media training for coaches. So this is like it's like an open tender of quality education and standard that we want to bring into the South African community. So these are the courses that we are proposing. And this course will start in 2024. For example, we have already had Conti Kubeka and Sipho Langalala. We have already put up a small tender or a presentation on a course for basic education course for our educators. Because it's also important that we go back to our indigenous youth license that we used to have as the association. So they've already suggested something at that level. The introduction of technical directors. You will have seen also in the PSL now that the majority of the presidents are the ones who are talking on technical matters. It's important that we train our own people and we increase the pool of people who has the technical know-how to be either sporting directors or technical directors. That course already is there. But again, we don't also want to forget our associate members, the deaf and the disabled, because they're part of SAFA. So we're also saying we really want to start developing courses that can also be able to address those areas. Let's move, chat. Before I finish up there, so this is a suggested process that we really want to have. You know, have a proposal that is of course supported by members where you are coming from. If you are SAFCA, you've got a document that you want to present. Of course, it's going to be supported by your members. If you are South African Football Players Union, you've got a document that you want to present. Of course, your members are going to be part of this. So the first part will be to have the proposal. Then the step 2, credential and experience, you know, including us checking as to whether you have the ability to be able to have facilitators or you can facilitate this process. And then of course, you need to have a learners or participants workbook, you know, as well as the the workbook for the educators so that we can be able to have a proper assessment of all of them. Then of course you need to have the delivery plan, and then of course put up the cost. Why the cost? The cost is because if your cost is 1,200 per head, then the association will say we want 400 from there. So that's also a way of us of opening it up, but also us benefiting from another side. Then once we have done that, the submission and the presentation is done to the technical committee, which will have its own panel. We'll then look at your costs and check all the standards that everything is okay, and then give the approval. Yes, Chair? Importantly, and lastly, is that we are also going to have different partnerships. For example, if you check the Solplaik University, they've got an interesting program on data science. So we are already trying to have a partnership with them to deal with football data analysis. The University of the Western Cape has already indicated that they might be interested to do the performance analysis. If you check also UEFA has career transition program, so we might also need to rely on them in terms of the quality of the work that they have that they can also bring along. I've spoken about SAFA, who have also presented a youth coaching manual, that is embedded within the maximal training. We'll have a look at that. FIFA, they have lots of courses, especially on academy director programs, so we might also have to rely on them. But again, we don't have to go far. If you check Cape Town, SAFA Cape Town, they already have a D license that is online. It's the very first one in Africa where they are able to pilot a project on D license which is online. So we're also going to engage them and see where we're going. I've put FCE there, football coach education there. It's supported and it's delivered by Raymond Farahaye, who is a specialist on periodization, and we're already in talks with him to check what we can do there. He also already has a course on women football, on football and nutrition, and also on game insight. So those are the people that will check. University of Pretoria, if you check, they've got a higher diploma in sports science. So we are also going to try to tap to them, to tap from their program and see if there is any partnership that we can do there. University of Johannesburg, they've got a lot of safeguarding programs that they have there and mentorship that we can be able to look at. So this is the idea that we are taking there, but again, open it up to everybody else. But key to our announcement is that we're back in the CAF convention, the A license is back. We are targeting coaches who are in the Hollywood bets, coaches who are in the PSL, coaches who are in the National First Division, and also coaches who are national team coaches. And then again, the SAFA Clive Academy is alive and kicking. It's for us now from 2024 to be able to deliver these programs. Thanks, Chair.
Right. That was comprehensive and that was earth-shattering. The TD, I think, has pretty much given us a breakdown of what is in store here at the South African Football Association. So I'd like to open up the floor now to the members of the media in terms of the questions that you would like to ask. But before I do that, the CEO has got another engagement. I don't know if you are still staying, CEO. All right, if you can just excuse her, but the other panelists will remain behind, and you can ask your questions and fire away.
Walter Mabeba from Sokala Duma. My question is directed to the TD. In terms of performance analysts and what are the requirements actually? Do you have to be specifically a former player or anybody can come and do the courses?
I thought I would take a round of questions.
Okay. Right, any more questions from the floor? On that side.
Just a quick one on the tradition that we have. Oh, Tamba Shambalana Joseph on sports. On the tradition that we have, that we wait for people to be late before we name things after them. How long did it take? Is it one of those where we say, Clive Barker did this for SAFA and then we waited for him to pass away, then we talk nicely at his funeral, and then we've got this project coming up? Isn't it that you as SAFA are shooting yourselves in the foot instead of giving these people their flowers while they're still alive? I mean, I'm sure Clive would have loved it, to have it named after him while he was there so he could give it his blessings. I mean, why do you as SAFA wait for your legends to part and then to depart, and then you praise them and name things after them?
My question, so anyone who can actually answer it, how is it funded? Was Lorenz from Industry Times. How is it funded? Who will host these courses, all the courses? And is it modeled by a certain FA that you guys want to implement to the coaches? And is there also a youth aspect that involves this Clive Barker Academy?
Chris from Industry Times. Just a follow-up on that one. Does this whole program include schools? And in what way and form does it include schools?
Good afternoon, everyone. Morning, Tim Kulu here from Teta FM. TD, my question is directed to you. My question is, having said that we have coaches who are not maybe qualified to be coaching in the PSL using CAF D licenses, how then does our national team improve when we still have coaches or teams that allow coaches to be coaching with such licenses? Thank you.
Mahmoud Maraka from centercircle.online to the TD and perhaps the executive, SAFA executive. My question is almost similar to the one that was just been asked. Just to ask if there are coaches that do not have the required qualifications, will there be a law, a policy that prevents them from being on the benches, so be it Hollywood Bets, PSL or national teams? And if so, when will that law kick in if it's not yet in place?
Well, my second one is on the coaching courses, which will obviously start in 2024. Does it mean that in the future we are going to see coaches who doesn't have qualifications at all not being part of the coaches in our Premier Soccer League?
Good afternoon, my name is Facing Carter from SABC News. I hear this Clive Barker Academy will only start offering courses next year. If maybe SAFA executive can substantiate onto where is it going to be built, how much has been invested in an academy named after somebody of Clive Barker's caliber, and if a new building is going to be built, how much is it going to be spent on building that the academy, and the other stuff in terms of who will be offering the courses. Are coaches from abroad going to be brought in, or how is it going to function? Just for staff executive to just substantiate, not much has been said about that except just to say there's going to be a Clive Barker Academy. Just the details around that.
Yeah,
There's no building. I didn't mention any building. There's no building. Be rest assured, we're not building SAFA Technical Center. Like I said in the presentation, is an innovative way where we get into the modern space. You have the coaches in the ABC Municipal League, in the NFD, who sometimes a coach has to be a physical trainer. You know, we pick him up in the street, sits here, you have a team manager who needs to understand what is required to be here. You know, you need courses that deals with club management. You know, So this is a segment that has been neglected in South African football, you know, most probably in Africa also. So when Chad was also asking, how are you, was it Lauren? Was asking how you model it, you know. It's already modeled in Belgium. It's already modeled in the FA in England. If you check in England, they've got the PFSA, for example. They've got also a level 6 technical director program. You know, it's a 2-year program that they have. So I'm glad you asked that question. So it really shows a lot of intense research from our side, you know. But like I said in the beginning, coach education is more traditional, you know. We need to have service delivery for our people. We need to open up the space, you know, and offer a broad spectrum of courses that can really be able to help our people. Look what is happening with rugby. They've got forward coaches. They've got people who deals with Scrum. So speciality becomes very important. So SAFA education has to be traditional courses which are controlled by CAF, and also a section that is Clive Academy that will really deal with specialized courses. You know, we have seen most of the time also our players and our coaches when they have to do media interviews, you know, and they have challenges. You know, it's an area of concern. You know, a player immediately after the match is a knockout competition, and say, "Thank you very much for the 3 points," you know, and everybody else is laughing. But it presents an opportunity for us to be able to rectify all those kind of situations. So it's modeled around that, you know. And of course, the funding has to come from within the association. But if you have listened to what I've said, is that whoever who's going to come and take any of those courses has to bear the cost of doing that, you know. But the association has also the expertise. South Africa was the first country to develop a coaching education system. You know, we have already trained 26,000 coaches, far more than anybody else in Africa. So we have the expertise from our coach educators who are coming across all levels of life. Others are lawyers, others are teachers, others are principals, others are sports scientists. So we have the expertise within South Africa to be able to do this. But I'm also saying we are opening it up on a tender. If I'm sitting at home and I'm Bubi Solomons, I've developed a coaching manual for youth 7 or 8 years ago. Can I model it into something that we can be able to use at schools? So that's the idea where we're going. Performance analysis, who qualifies? Thanks for that question also there. It's going to be important that whoever comes there has a background on computer. So I'll assume when we have a course on performance analysis, there will also be computer for beginners, you know, because you need to have the soft skills to be able to do the work, you know. So it's going to be a course. You don't need to have a qualification for you to be able to do that, but you will need at least the basic computer understanding for you to be able to do the work. But like I said, whoever puts up the proposal will also put up the requirements, and will also try to scale it down to the level that it can have high level of entry point for our people. It cannot be a course that is there and it's difficult for our people to access. So that will be the premise where we are moving, Walter, so that we can be able to have our people have access to all of these courses. Schools, yes, there's a schools element. I did mention there that it's important that we have to focus our youth and our grassroots courses that must really deal with educators, you know. So SAFA Academy has to be able to touch and have a youth license that is specific to the educators who are dealing with our players at grassroots level. So of course that will happen. But of course we are just resuscitating a program, I think, which was discontinued in 2001. SAFA used to have a SAFA youth license, you know. I'm a graduate of that program, and that program was excellent. Just to resuscitate it, but again, open it up to other people who have different ideas and different views in dealing with this. Club licensing and PSL, it's about standards. Chairperson, yesterday in our technical committee meeting, we said we were meeting in 2 weeks' time. Remember, all that I proposed when it looked like I was crazy, when I was talking about PSL and NFD, ABC, Mutsepeli coaches, and the Hollywood bets, was already accepted and approved at the SAFA Congress. What we are dealing with now is additional matters, but in 2 weeks' time, we should be able to make a pronouncement on what are the changes that we are looking for. But you can be rest assured, one of the things that we have asked Mahlomuna for next season in the Hollywood bets is that all teams in the Hollywood bets cannot have a foreign goalkeeper. That one is coming. So I'm just giving you a glimpse of what we have already presented at the SAFA Congress. But give us another 2 weeks where we now want to be able to publish all the technical recommendations and the changes that we are bringing to the game. Already you know most of them that we have already put up there, but a whole lot of them are coming. This is not us, like I say, it's not a witch hunt from our side, but it's time to level the playing fields and try to catch Sundowns.
Everywhere.
We have to help South Africa to catch Sundowns. We'll capacitate the coaches. So like I say, the first one is starting on the 13th of November. We've made an application. The second A license is penciled for next year again in March. So before the end of the season, we hope to have 2 courses of A license to help you catch Sundowns. We'll help you. We'll help South Africa to catch Sundowns.
Sundowns ladies.
And Sundowns ladies. On both sides. Yeah. But we are proud. We are proud because the coaches, for example, who are coaching Sundowns are the products of SAFA. You know, and all of them are CAF A licensed coaches. So it's important that we need to help South Africa. I'm not sure the one why we are. I think that one needs the VP will deal with that one. Yeah, I think the VP will deal with that one. Thanks.
Which one? The last one was not answered yet. That in terms of these qualifications, is this maybe one day going to see coaches who doesn't have those qualifications not being involved with any Premier Soccer League team in future?
I've just asked for 2 weeks because you remember what I said earlier this year. We were very, very clear, and the Congress approved it. So give us 2 weeks to meet again, because we're meeting in 2 weeks' time. We met yesterday just for us to release a full statement from us. But you can take it from me. Hello? You can really take it from me that's the direction of the association. You know, not to patch, but in the next 2-3 years, you know, most of the coaches in the professional league, NFD, PSL, Hollywood bets, even in the ABC Mutsepeli League, even in school football, will have the right qualifications.
Okay, I think maybe just the last part is that as we meet the government, the Department of Education and all of that, that's our emphasis. That at school level, we must have a coach with C, assistant coach with D. So that is the gospel we are preaching all over the country as we meet the custodian of kids, the children at that level. I think the Mshemo Lapu raised the issue here, why now and all of that. I think we have to have an appreciation that sometimes it becomes an oversight. You don't necessarily look at these issues, and then somebody passed on, then you realize that there's something that you would have not done well. Maybe to cover that space, you have to do what is good. And in the funeral, the president announced, and we were just saying we might not done it when he was still alive, but I don't think we must not do it because he's late. So our approach, I think, is the normal approach that any human being has, and all of you would know that sometimes we appreciate people when they are no longer there, which is something that we have to work against. It's something that we have to, as a society, as organizations, that those who did well, we must give them their flowers whilst they are still alive. And we appreciate that issue, and we have a proper appreciation, and we are, I think, with the mind that he has, that please, going forward, let's not let's not wait for a person to pass on. So I think there's nothing much we can say except to say we have realized that, but we are trying to catch on. But what is important is that we made a promise in the funeral. We are fulfilling that promise now. That's the basis. Thank you.
Just to add also, I wonder whether we had enough time also to check the technical composition of the Banyana team at the recent World Cup. Did we check how many people we had there? Or we just worried that bonuses must be paid or whatever? We didn't check that. It was a blind side. It was a blind spot. So Coach Desi, for example, had 2 assistant coaches, had 2 analysts, also had a physical trainer, and also a biokinetist. And if you check where all these performance analysts trained, when the association, for example, has international matches, we take our analysts from the clubs. Where are they trained? Is there any course that really in South Africa says that you must train performance analysts? It's a job that I did when I was at another PSL club for a very long time. But where do we get training? And if you have also seen, and this is a message also that I want to put across, if you've seen on Facebook, there's an organization there, IPSO, that is also trying to bring scouting and performance analysis courses to South Africa. But I also checked the comments there, and I didn't want to comment. And people are saying, but this number is changing and all of that. So if you don't own this space as South Africans, with the expertise that we have, you are going to have a lot of intruders in that space. But again, it's our responsibility to be able to train and capacitate our people. So the Clive Academy really sets out to do that. When we have national team camps, we must be knowing exactly where are we going to get the young upcoming performance analysts or match analysts and all of that. So this is a message that we are really trying to put up there, to say we are already in the process, and we know where we need to be as a country. Gone are the days where in the ABC Motsepe League, a coach comes to training and then the players must go 12 rounds. We've had lots of situations of heart problems, where players are collapsing and all of that. But we have not really looked deeper into that. We could have included also an area on research also there. How many clubs do you have researchers within their clubs? How many clubs do you have strategists within their club, within that clubs? So it's a long process, and you need to give the association the credit to allow us to have SAFA education, to have traditional coaching courses, and a new project that we are putting across. The majority of the players, when they finish playing football, it's only then they start thinking about coaching. And maybe, I'm just saying maybe one of the reasons why Banyana also has a better ranking and a better understanding and delivery is that the majority of those players are graduates. Let's face it, are graduates. How many of them have master's degree there, have degrees and all of that? In 2019, you can check an article by Strado in 2019. He said 21 out of the 23 players at the AFCON, Coach Des, 21 out of 23 players of Banyana either were having a degree or were having a master's degree in 2019. So maybe, in order for them to be able to understand tactics a little bit better, maybe education is playing a big role there. Why not try to help the situation by injecting a lot of programs that will resuscitate and reboot and recreate the football that we want to see.
All right, Chair, yeah. Oh, this is a question.
Chad from SABC Sport. Just to TD or perhaps VP, do you foresee any resistance? Has there been conversations between yourselves and the PSL already on the implementation on some of these things? And how do you work around finding each other at the table to implement these great initiatives?
Greetings everyone, Clive from Football Stage. TD, this one is for you. You presented the convention, which I appreciate very much. I'll just give an example. In KZN, SAFA KZN, in this season, they've said that in the ABC Motsepe League, a head coach must have a KFC and the assistant must have a KFD. Now, this does not align with the convention that you presented. What is the association doing to ensure that there's alignment across the board from provinces to regions, that so that the convention can be implemented? And how long do you anticipate, perhaps in terms of timelines? Because I know a lot of training needs to happen to bring on board coaches who are not at that level. And in terms of timeline, when do you expect to say at this particular point we'll be able to say ABC Motsepe League, all coaches must be able to have a B or an A license? And another question is in terms of costs. There are a lot of coaches at grassroots level who wish to be part of these programs, who wish to get this education, but the cost sometimes is a barrier. I'll make an example. We often see from regions, I think it is KFC, some going around 4,000 for a course. And we are talking about coaches who are unemployed, who are passionate and dedicated to develop more grassroots football, but do not have the means to participate in these courses. What is the association perhaps doing in terms maybe to bring in sponsors who can perhaps cushion these Christian coaches who want to be part of this program from such high costs? Thank you.
Sitan Bisopindi from Times Live. My first question will be on TV. Since you're saying let's wait for the next 2 weeks, what does this mean about the Bafana assistant coach? Because we've heard that he couldn't coach at COSAFA because of the issue of qualifications. What does that mean for him? And this is another question I'll ask again. I think I asked it about few months ago. The issue of junior national team coaches, is there an update? Where are we in terms of, are they going to be appointed or what's the status there?
Maybe in order not to overload the TD with many questions, let me rather ask this one after the TD has answered these two, please.
Yeah, I'll start with who was Temis is always controversial. And even your headlines, sometimes from your headlines you always pick up a line and you run with it. Quite interesting. Let me deal with the two. I must deal first with you, is important before I forget. The Bafana assistant coach is very clear. We are opening up in November. If he has a B license, you'll get onto that course. As simple as that. If he doesn't have a B license, you won't be on that course. Simple as that. Go and check the CAF convention. In fact, maybe I must make it available. The requirements are clear. You need a B license to get onto the A license. Simple as that. We have seen also that we have facilitated some of our coaches also to cross the border. David Nyati is crossing the border also on Monday to do his B license. He just finished his C license, he's going for his B license. So it's as simple as that. If you have a B license, you get onto the A. So it's clear. If the assistant coach for Bafana has a B license, is going to be accepted on this process, in this program. Is that fine with you?
Maybe what qualification does he hold at the moment?
I can't speak on his behalf. I can't speak. He has been very clear that he has what qualification. So let's wait. If he applies on the course, we'll accept him. If he doesn't have a B license, he won't be on the course. It's as simple as that. Can I move? I need to deal with you because you have a funny way of twisting things when you write, so I need to settle down with you first. Can I move to the second one?
Yes.
Yes. The junior national team coaches, yes, soon we'll announce. Using the FIFA Forward 3.0, we're budgeted for the national team coaches to be permanent. We'll announce the new under 17 and the new under 20 national team coaches for men. But remember, we have an under 15 program. So it's a developing program. The under 15 and under 16 coach will also be the coach for the under 17. Because the group that we have now, we want them to go to the World Cup in 2025. So we want them now to be 2 years younger, to go to SAFA. They also have a tournament coming. We'll announce that when the time is right. So that is coming. Under 17, under 20. Can I move?
Yes, you can.
I need to be sure with you. Like I said, you reported a different way. In terms of the numbers, I think I need to put my. In terms of the numbers, the CAF A license, we've got 371 coaches trained in South Africa. 29 of those are female. I'll go back to what I said again. We can provide 4 coaches for all teams in the NFD and in the PSL, if you do your mathematics. So we're not short of numbers. We are just increasing the numbers and resuscitating those who might be lost in the system. So we don't have challenges in terms of the numbers. And these numbers are the highest in Africa. You need to give us credit. We started this thing a long time ago. Some of you were not even journalists at that time. The process was already under. I started in 2000. So it's been happening. I want to remember 2000. We started a long time ago. So we've got 26,000 there. So no crisis. And if you add those who have been also be going to Botswana, who are also going to KZN, it means we are in safe space. So there's no fight with the PSL. It's for us to continue training and saying these are our numbers and here are our members. Please do the right thing and help. Are we together, Chet? That's what I'm saying. KZN, they've already taken a big step. And the reason for that is that already last year, 4 days in the office, I'd already sent a survey to all the regions to check the numbers. And SAFA Majuba has almost 157 coaches trained from A up until D. Do they have the numbers to be able to implement at that stage? Yes, we have trained enough there. If you check the number of C licensed coaches, we've got 10,970. And this is across South Africa. So they do have the numbers. And again, their recommendation is a minimum standard that they're asking. Like I say, in 2 weeks' time, we'll reveal what we are proposing to the regions. But for me, what they're doing there is a good thing and it's a minimum standard. At least let's start somewhere, you know. But I'm happy with what they're doing. Like I've said, SAFA Majuba is an example of a region that has really done well in terms of coach education. Cost of the D license. If you check the cost for a B license in Zambia now, how much is it? How much is it? 30,000 kwacha. B license, 30,000 kwacha. Education is very expensive. I think you know that yourself when you are here. It's very expensive. Before, the association had tried to use that legacy money to be able to help. Most of us received help from the legacy fund, but we all know that the legacy fund is finished. And it's not only in South Africa where people are paying for courses, for training. So yes, it's costly, but that's how it is. Unless there's a sponsorship, then there will be a relief. But for now, we need to continue to pay at that level. I'm not sure whether I left anything. Walter, you still come.
The VP is coming. I think there was an issue by a chat about the PSL which we have covered. We will constantly engage PSL. There are a number of issues that were engaged in with them. And this one, I think it's very important because it's all about club licensing. It is located there. So these are the things that we have to deal with at the joint licensing. And we are confident that what we want to do will happen because it's for the betterment of the country, particularly with the complaints that some came even from yourselves about the level of some coaching at the premier level of the country. So I think that is very important. The issue of costs, just to cover it, other regions, they will have sponsors and coaches there, they do free of charge. But we know that not every region will have that lack of having a sponsor. Critical to everything is that capacity building, it's a personal decision. You decide that I want to go to school. And when I want to go to school, I must pay. And if there's NSFAS in the instance of the higher education in the country, and you are accepted there, that's good. But not everyone who is in that space is paid by the NSFAS process. So even at coaching, Ngangala region there in Malahleni, there are a lot of coaches courses that happens almost every month, but there is a sponsor behind that. They are doing it mahala. All of the coaches in that region are getting that. So you will always have such. Others are fortunate, others are unfortunate, but that's the life we live in the current, where you don't have a backing. You have to then go to your pocket. I think that's that.
This is the last round of questions.
TD, I'm not asking so many questions, taking advantage that you are my namesake. Please bear with me. I'm just a little bit dissatisfied about the first question that I asked about the performance analyst. You mentioned something very, very, very important about you have seen coaches who makes a child to run about 12 rounds, people getting heart attacks and all those things. And I believe the cause of such things is because those people have never been there. They don't know how does it feel and when to do it with a child of a certain age. So coming to that performance analyst, the answer was the requirements will be computer literate. So is it not better to include people who have been there also, who have played football, who knows how to analyze a player's performance in the field of play, rather than just having somebody who's going to use theory and not practical. We have living soccer legends in South Africa who I believe they are regarded as people of the past. They are overlooked. Some of them are struggling to make ends meet. And are they not going to be involved or maybe included, to be part of this initiative that SAFA is taking at the moment, which is a very, very, very good one. Coaching, performance analyst, and I think, in my opinion, they can be very, very helpful in connecting with that. Thank you.
I must take this one whilst.
This one overnight.
Yeah.
Personal
Go
convo.
in the debate.
Apologies if you felt that maybe I was excluding a certain section, you know. The reason why I was stating that a basic knowledge in computer it's critical is because the section has a lot of technology. There's a bit of IT in it, you know. For example, there are softwares, you know, I can't mention them because I'll be promoting them here. It's a little bit of high level, you know, so a certain level of computer skill is needed, you know, but it doesn't exclude somebody from not being able to do it, you know, but the person will need a certain level, you know, of understanding of the computer, you know, to put a beam on top of a player, for example, to track and all of that, you know, so those are some of the things that you really need to check that. But it doesn't stop us from designing an entry level kind of a course on match analysis, you know, that can accommodate, you know, those kind of situations, you know. And that's why, I mean, Sabja is here, you know. I thought they would be excited to say, but TD, you're also opening up to have media training for coaches, you know, media training for players and all of that, you know, as partners, you know, stated it here, you know, to say it's really needed, you know. So I was not really closing, but I was just saying there's a certain level needed, you know, of dealing with the software and all of that, you know. And remember, this is a basic. There's also an area of data also, you know, that is needed there. So yeah, I was not really excluding you. I was just saying you need a certain 10%, you know, of manipulating the computer a little bit.
I don't mean to be a bit controversial, but it's an open fact. I know today you wanted to answer it, but because of your position you won't. The sad story is that if you compare the women footballers that we have and their male counterparts, our ladies, even our legends in women's football, are more educated than their male counterparts. And I understand his point to Oprah that he's talking for his colleagues because he's also a legend in his own right. And wouldn't we avoid such in future to say let's take it down to a school's level where even a young footballer or a young schoolboy is taught sort of in a shadow of this system that you're bringing up, that every school knows who they have that plays football, and they start putting into their mind that these can be groomed to be coaches while they are playing junior football. By the time they get to the level of your DDC, your first team, because recently, you know, there are 16-year-olds in the first teams, already you can tell the child is going to be in football for the rest of his life, depending on what he does with his life. But isn't it important that you even instill it from a school's level, varsity football, as well as some PSL teams, that you have a youth structure that caters for all of the youngsters who are still open-minded about education, that they take all these crash courses about what you are building, so that in future it doesn't become difficult where we say player X cannot press a computer.
I don't want you to write on the education part that I mentioned. Don't write on that one. You know? Between Bafana and Banyala.
But it's there. But it's there.
No, I'm just saying. I just mentioned it. But there are many other factors. You know, you could check the caps also. Banyala team has more caps. Experience also, you know, than their counterparts. So I don't really want you to jump on that one and hammer, you know. Come back. I saw the VP was nodding when you were talking about us cascading and taking it down. Maybe you wanted to come in the Vice President on whether we can take the program down to the schools, because I think it's a brilliant idea. Why not? You know, it has to start there. So we are in support with what you say. You know, and like I said, if you is it possible, Sis-Namta, just to bring the second last slide. also to say we don't necessarily have to hammer on performance analysis. We presented a bouquet of courses which are available. And this also must be the direction that we must take for our ex-players and also for our people. You know, it's not only coaching. You know, I think this second last, the next one. Before that one, please. Thank you. I mean, we put a suggestion on this. You know, allow us to dream, but allow us also to see opportunities. You know, so Walter, as much as I know sometimes the entry point is on performance analysis and all, but we presented a bouquet, you know, and we have also suggested again to say, let's have PSL and NFT players and ABC multiple league players, you know, taking coaching courses while they're still playing. The system must allow them to be able to be trained while they're still playing. So that by the time they finish, they can also now sit on the bench. Because we see it, they play, finish, and then they've got a connection with the previous coach, then they sit on the bench. And then you guys keep quiet. It must be us talking now. But how is it possible that 2 weeks ago you were a player, this week now you are on the bench? You know, and it's still work again. So I was just saying, like, you know, we presented the list. There is almost what, 23, what we've suggested, but there's a whole lot that we can deal with. You know, football periodization, game site, tactical periodization. There's a lot of things that we can really put up there. You know, courses for active players. You know, like I said, also training for coaches. You know, and also match analysis also for TV pundits and all of that. So there's a whole lot of things that we can really have. So that's what the academy is there, to broaden and to be innovative, you know, as we support the game. The idea is just to support the game.
Yeah.
Chairperson?
Maybe the last one. I think we are in support of what has been proposed. It was not a question necessarily. It's an input because the engagement with the Department of Education is at that level where we want to better the coach, which is a teacher, and the child. But there's a model that normally School of Excellence does, where they say you must perform in the field, but equally academically you must be also be par in terms of that. That is what we are taking down to the education level, because the other challenge that you have is that through this model of academies you can foster it, but there's community clubs and community football that sometimes some of the talented youngsters are found there, and they happen to move up the ladder. So then we have to deal with it systematically in all levels. But where it can be better done is at the school level, where these kids are taken through these processes and understand that football is a short career. Education is the way to go, and we have to balance that. But then it should be embedded at the level of the school. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that brings us to the end of today's proceedings. But before you depart, I think these gentlemen would like to take a group picture. And also, I believe there's some refreshments at the back. Right.